Hello and welcome once again to the Cohelet. Today we'll be talking about water. I think this would even be a series because you can never really have sufficient time to talk about water because everything is ultimately water in some sense. In the Bible, the story of creation is that in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth was without form and void, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And then God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. You could see that at the very beginning, there was water for the Spirit of God to be moving upon the face of. If you read Genesis 1 carefully, with special attention to water, you will discover that creation is essentially all about water. Before you get to Genesis 1:26 and 27, where it is written that the Lord God said, "Come, let us make man in our own image and after our likeness." Every story prior to that time had been about water. You will see the portion about the firmament. The firmament was created for the sole purpose of dividing the waters above the firmament from the waters below the firmament. The universe is based on hydrogen. Hydro in hydrogen means water, and hydrogen is the first element on the periodic table. It is the first major matter that came into being after the Big Bang, and it is hydrogen that forms the stars, it's hydrogen that forms the planets, it's hydrogen that forms every material object in the universe. Hydrogen is also the source of all the other elements on the periodic table. Indeed, hydrogen is the source of oxygen. People usually think that it is oxygen that keeps them alive. Well, oxygen plays a great role in keeping humans alive. But beyond oxygen, before oxygen, there had been hydrogen. And oxygen, as well as all the other elements on the periodic table subsequent to hydrogen, are basically hydrogen that has been processed and transformed into those other things. You will not have those things if you do not have hydrogen. The universe basically then, the material universe basically then, is the story of hydrogen and its transformation. If you look at Psalm 24 verses 1 and 2, you will see that it is stated expressly that the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof, the world and they that dwell therein. For he has established it upon the ocean and also upon the waters. That's simply a poetic manner of saying that the universe is all about water. I can go so far as to say that the universe is an ocean with islands. The continents are but big islands, and then of course we have smaller islands such as the British Isles and all that, but it's actually all about water. Now, it's important to know that the hydrogen atom is set up in fractals. Each hydrogen atom in its original state is exactly the same as another hydrogen atom. There is absolutely no difference between them. And the hydrogen atom has just one proton and one electron. It doesn't have a neutron. There is only neutron in atoms when hydrogen atoms have fused in thermonuclear fusion and produced the helium atom. And for the first time, when the helium atom is produced, you now have a neutron, which is neither a proton nor an electron, but is produced from both, and not being either of the two, is something of its own nature without being different from its source. Indeed, the fact that a thing and its source is the same is at the root of understanding what the universe is all about. For instance, we who do not perceive ourselves as hydrogen and we do not perceive ourselves as water, we are essentially made of water. Most of our organs are made of water, and our consciousness is fueled by water. The thing that is us and the things that are us are all water that has been processed in one form or the other. That is why when you look at the Bible carefully, you will see that when it comes to water, there are rules that if you do not really understand the nature of water from a scientific perspective, you would think that it is superstition. For example, the laver at the tabernacle, there was a laver that Moses was instructed to bake in Exodus 17 verses 17, Exodus 30 verses 17 to 21, where elaborate instruction was given as to how the laver is to be made, so that Aaron and his sons, the high priests, would wash their hands and their feet, which is the Muslim ablution, before they go to minister and to burn burnt offering in the tabernacle, and that if they didn't do it, they would die. You also know about baptisms. Christianity requires that a person who is joining should be baptized. The baptism could be by immersion in water, it could be by sprinkling, but it's all about water. And it would interest you to note that in the Bible, when God declared from above that that Jesus Christ is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased, hear ye him, was when he was being baptized. It was in the water that his real nature as the Son of God was declared. It should also interest you to know that the stars, the sun, the moon, the earth are all essentially made up of hydrogen. They are all made up of water. That then should tell us that there is more to water than meets the eye. As I've already said, the concept of fractals is important in understanding the nature of existence. Natural things reproduce themselves in fractals. That's why you have such things as the pi and the Fibonacci sequence, which are the sequences through which nature transforms energy. Now, coming down to us and water and fractals, the sun, the earth, and all. It is hydrogen atoms that formed the stars that went supernova after billions of years of fusing of hydrogen atoms, and then the stars went supernova. It is from the yield of the stars that went supernova that planets are formed, including the planet Earth. Now, whatever you perceive as what the Earth is made of, the sand, the dust, the minerals, the elements, like if you dig in the earth, you will see gold, silver, diamonds, manganese, and all those other things. They are all hydrogen that at different levels of transformation became one other element or the other. And when the sun was formed in the form in which it is. It is hydrogen that formed the sun. And when the electromagnetic energy from the sun hits water on earth and caused there to be a seeding of the waters, so that the waters began to conduct life-giving chemical reaction through cells, primitive cells that were in the waters. It was all hydrogen at work. Hydrogen is not simply a thing that is devoid of consciousness. Quantum physics has verified that not only do you have consciousness at the level of atoms, but at the level of subatomic particles, it has been proven that particles of energy, including the Planck and sub-Planck field of energy, the Planck field is made up of spherical units that are billions of times smaller than the atom itself. And it has been shown through what is known as the double slit experiments in quantum mechanics, which is also another name for quantum physics, that they respond to observation. They know when they are being watched and decide what to do, whether to appear when you shoot them through a slit. They decide whether to appear as a wave or as a particle, depending on whether or not there's a camera observing them. That means that the materials that make up the universe, which also happens to be the materials that make up the human entity, those materials are the media for consciousness. The consciousness that a human being possesses, when a human being says, I am, I know, I do, I see, I hear, all those things are the consciousness that is the same consciousness that the atoms and subatomic particles possess. It's also settled in quantum physics that the entirety of the consciousness in existence in the entire universe is one. It is a singular consciousness. For instance, as I'm talking, you're hearing me. The one who is hearing me is neither your head, nor your hand, nor your leg, nor anything that you have seen or can see or can touch. Even though you're using your ears, for example, to hear me, and your eyes to see me, who is it that is seeing with the eyes? Who is it that is hearing with the ears? That is consciousness. And in science, it is consciousness that scientists refer to as God. So when it is said that God said, let us make man in our image and likeness, and when it is said that man is the image and likeness of God, it is not a metaphorical statement, it is not an allegorical statement. When it is said ye are gods, it's also not a metaphorical statement, it is not an allegorical statement. It is a statement that requires that we discover who we really are. And the principal means of discovering who we are is the means of understanding what fractals mean practically, not head knowledge, not as in like having a general idea that they said fractal means that things self-replicate and that they are the same as that which they replicated from. That is not enough. You must have a practical perception and understanding of it. Now, the hydrogen atom is sometimes known as the second punct. The second punct is the circle with a dot in the middle. That is exactly what your eyeballs are. Your eyeballs are a circle with a dot in the middle. That is a clear indication that you are a fractal of hydrogen. Hydrogen or water is the first physical manifestation of the divine. And there is no matter that is in existence anywhere that is not traceable to hydrogen at a point before there was a transformation that made it into what it appears to be today. there is nothing that is not made of atoms. Even when a thing has been transformed from a hydrogen atom into some other atoms, they are still made up of atoms. And irrespective of how solid you may perceive objects around you to be, those objects are still made of atoms. And as Nikola Tesla, who I regard as the greatest scientist that ever walked the earth, said, he said, if you want to understand the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. Energy is the ability to do work. And anything that you do at all, even to think, it requires energy. And since the universe is all about energy, we then must understand what form energy takes. And the form that energy takes is the form of atoms, which are units of electricity, units of electromagnetic energy. So if you do not understand electrical energy, electromagnetic energy, which is what essentially the universe is about, there is really little that you understand. Religion takes a look at existence from belief systems and dogmas and indoctrinations. But if you understand sciences, natural sciences, it doesn't make you say that there is no God if you really understand. But it alters your perception of God and your perception of yourself. There's a famous scientist that once said that is Lord Kelvin, that is the one after whom certain measurements are named, like you say 100 degrees Kelvin. He said that if you study science long and hard enough and deep enough, it will force you to believe in God. It doesn't mean that it will force you to believe in a deity that is in the sky watching you and planning how to deal with you for your refusal to do certain things or not to do certain things. No, what he meant is that you will discover that you and God cannot be separated. You are indeed nothing but a manifestation of the divine energy that powers the entirety of the universe. Your very existence is proof of God's existence if you really understand who you are. Religion teaches us that there is a God that made man and then is watching man to see if man is worthy of entering heaven, or perhaps if the man is not worthy, he will put him in hell. Now, those kinds of teachings were made basically for the purpose of establishing organizations that have control over the minds of human beings. Those kinds of teachings were not made in order to enable man understand who he is and then relate accordingly with his maker. The real understanding of who we are can only come when we rationally understand the science of existence. The science of existence is not anti-God. What is anti-God is the attempt by certain belief systems to make human beings think that their personal definition of God is the only real definition of God. But have human beings ever searched as to the reason why in every culture you see symbols that appear to be energy symbols when you actually take a close look at them? Either sun symbols, symbols of star, symbol of the moon, symbols of human beings, symbols that are wooden. All of them are electromagnetic energy in one form or the other if you really understand what they are. So that means that that which is common to all human beings is the fact that everything is about energy, everything is about electromagnetic energy. And there is nobody anywhere in the world who is capable of finding food to eat that the sun did not play a role in making that food available. So the sun is central to existence on Earth, and we are living in a solar system. The SOL in solar simply means sun in Latin, and it is from that soul that you have the word soul, S-O-U-L. because the soul of man is known to be a fractal of the sun. That is why when you see the avatars of several religions, you will always see sun symbols behind them. Buddha, Krishna, Jesus Christ, Shiva, and other avatars. Each human being is an avatar of the sun. That is why those of you who are on social media, your Facebook account, your profile picture is always enclosed in a circle. In your WhatsApp profile, it is the same thing. In your Instagram profile, it is the same thing. It is because they know who you are, even if you don't know who you are. The circle is the basic form of material existence. The circle is the basic form of material existence. And until you understand the circle and understand how it leads to hydrogen, how it leads to water, how it leads to the sun, how it leads to the moon, how it leads to the earth, and how it leads to you, and you still don't really know who you are. Welcome once again to the Coelet, and please subscribe, like, and share this video, even as we would continue our teachings on water and fractals, the sun, the earth, the moon, the stars, and you. And we do hope that you have gained substantially from this interaction. Thank you.